I know who I am. If I ever waited, it's because, okay, I'm grinding. When I want to get out and pop out a little cute, I will. If I want to be a bum, I will. Can't no nigga come in my world trying to water me down. You don't need this. You need to wait. Whole time you waiting on nothing.
This is 31-year-old Oninda Romulus, a mother of 5 and an Insta baddie, who, in a shocking act of violence, would gun down her 4 children just to attend a party with friends. On October 4th, 2023, at around 4:48 a.m., a routine call to 911 would evolve into a nightmare when Oninda reported a horrific scene. Deputies rushed to a gas station in Angleton, Texas, where they found 4 children shot in the back of a car, 2 already dead and 2 fighting for their lives. But this wasn't a sudden act of rage. This wasn't a crime of passion. Oninda, who had long flaunted a glamorous life on social media, reportedly told deputies, "They're with the devil. They're dead to me." Investigators soon learned that her chilling decision to kill her children was driven by something even darker. She wanted to party with friends. In the midst of her own chaos, Oninda had been living a double life, using fraud to fund her lavish lifestyle, all while posting pictures of happiness and material wealth online. But the worst was yet to come. What drove a mother to commit such an unthinkable act? To truly understand what unfolded that Saturday morning in Angleton, Texas, we have to rewind the clock.
We need multiple ambulances.
He always waves and we tell him hi, and they come back by, and I have a little Yorkie, and sometimes she'll stop and ask if she can pet the puppy. Just seeing them Friday, and they were happy and on their way, telling us hi and bye, and figuring I would see them again Monday. Heartbreaking to think that anything could be so bad that you have to take your children's life. I don't understand.
Back then, Oninda Romulus wasn't making headlines for murder. Instead, she was drawing attention for something entirely different. A few years before the tragic gunfire, Oninda Romulus had found herself in paternity court with a single goal: to determine the father of her son, Ocario. But what unfolded was far from a straightforward case. It was messy, dramatic, and full of twists.
I cheated on him basically out of spite. I was like, okay, he's doing him, so I'm gonna do me. And I had a mutual friend I'd been talking to for like 3 months, which is Jeremy, of course. And we were
That's Mr. Covington, who will appear in court in a moment.
Yes, Sean.
All right.
And me and him were like good friends or whatever, and it was just basically chilling, and it eventually led on to having sex.
So in other words, you would have sex with my mom's ring on your finger?
After I've done what I've done, and I felt bad after what I've done, because me and him had like 2.5 weeks before that occurred until I heard something else, so it just made me do it out of spite.
Then what happens, Mr. Seymour?
I proposed to her with my mom's ring, and she still go out here.
You proposed to her with your mother's ring?
Yes, ma'am. She still go out here and betray me.
At some point,
you said it was a promise
found
ring.
out
I didn't
you
know
were
what
pregnant.
it was.
Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, I had sex with DJ and I had sex with Jeremy. Jeremy might be the father. I'm 100% for sure Jeremy's the father. But then again, I had sex with DJ. And in my heart,
Mr. Seymour.
Yes, Dwayne.
Okay.
So, and then I was like, oh my God, you know, coming as a woman, I had to look at it like, hey, you slept with 2 people and within the same time frame. It might be his, it might not be his.
So when you found out you were pregnant, you knew and you said to yourself, as ugly as this truth is, I'm just going to be honest, I don't know whose child this is.
Yes, to myself. I told myself I was going to be honest. I told myself I'm going to be honest, take it as a woman. I slept with both of them, but then again, I'm sure it's Jeremy's.
2 men were involved: Dwayne Seymour, her fiancé of 4 years, and Jeremy Covington, a man she described as a mutual friend. Oninda had carefully crafted a narrative for Dwayne, convincing him he was the father. He attended doctor's appointments, stepped into the role of dad, and even proposed to her with his mother's cherished ring. Yet behind the scenes, Oninda was playing both sides. Her relationship with Duane had gone sour. She accused him of cheating, claiming she'd heard rumors of an encounter behind a strip club dumpster. Duane denied it, but Oninda wasn't interested in the truth. Fueled by anger and a desire for revenge, she admitted in court that she slept with Jeremy out of spite. But things would quickly spiral into chaos. Within just a 2.5-week span, Oninda was intimate with both Duane and Jeremy. When she discovered she was pregnant, honesty might have seemed like the obvious path, but instead she chose deception. She assured Duane the child was his, allowing him to pour his heart, time, and resources into the role of father. He was present, supportive, and emotionally invested. At the same time, she told Jeremy he could be the father too, encouraging him to buy baby clothes and diapers, even letting him care for the child for weeks at a time. When the baby was born, it was Jeremy, not Duane, who stood at the hospital, with Jeremy's mother welcoming Oninda into their family. And yet, on the birth certificate, she listed Jeremy as the father. The fallout was devastating. Duane felt betrayed and broken, while Jeremy believed he was stepping into fatherhood with certainty. But in court, the truth unraveled. The judge saw through Oninda's manipulations, calling out her pattern of bouncing between men and refusing to take accountability. Then came the DNA results. Duane hoping against hope, Jeremy confident after 2 years of raising the boy, but the results stunned everyone. Duane was not the father. Jeremy, despite his devotion, was not the father either. Silence filled the room as it became clear Oninda had been involved with yet another man, someone she had never mentioned. The judge's words cut deep, but Oninda didn't change. She carried on with the same cycle of lies and manipulation. Originally born in Haiti before moving to the United States, Oninda decided to leave Georgia behind after the court case and relocated to Texas, settling in a quiet neighborhood in Porter on Spear Valley Lane. After several years, Oninda was now 31 years old, and she was a mother to 4 children, ages ranging from 3 to 13 years old. Sadly, some of these children's lives would be taken in cold blood. As a young woman, Oninda lived a life filled with challenges, but she tried to rise above them. She worked various jobs as a caterer at Willie's Mexican Grill, a cashier at McDonald's, and a package handler at UPS.
Like your friend. Bounce that ass like your friend touch. Do it. Bounce that ass like your friend touch. Do it. Bounce that ass like your friend do. Do it. I'm in the club with all my bitches. This shit overly loaded. All these racks on me, I can't even hold them. This bitch keep trying to press me by the nigga, I don't even know him. Geeked up, looking for a eater. Applying pressure, I can't ease up. I dropped the 10 just because that shit ain't mean nothing. This I say she bigger than why can't you believe her?
But her life was far from taking wrong turns. She became involved in the world of rap. She began performing, and while she initially showed promise, her personal life soon became more chaotic. Despite the instability in her relationships, she managed to maintain a level of success as a tax preparer, using this as a front to flaunt her newfound wealth on social media. But it didn't take long for investigators to find out she had been into fraudulent activities. But this would only be the beginning of the terrible things Oninda had in store. Oninda became involved with a man who would later father her child, but it wasn't long before her boyfriend was arrested for murder. Left on her own, she now had to care for 4 children by herself. Her volatile behavior and cryptic social media posts began to hint at deeper issues. In one of her posts, she even referred to her children as minions who were tempting her to do something that may lead her to jail or hell. But in the outside, Oninda seems like the perfect mother, always doing something for her children, yet no one could have predicted the horrific things that was about to unfold. On October 4th, 2025, Oninda's life reached a boiling point. Early in the morning, she called 911 herself, confessing to a crime so heinous that it could not be fathomed in the moment. She reported that she had killed her 4 children. When police arrived, they were met with a chilling scene at a gas station in Angleton, Texas. 2 of her children, 13-year-old Ocarlo Covington and 3-year-old Amara Chappelle, were already dead, slumped in the back seat of her car. The two surviving children, 8-year-old Treveal Donner and 9-year-old Kyle Romulus, still had faint pulses, clinging to life in the most desperate of conditions. The police immediately began performing life-saving measures, doing everything in their power to stabilize the children until paramedics arrived. Both surviving children were airlifted to a nearby hospital where they were treated for their critical injuries. Oninda, standing right beside the car, showed no visible emotion as the scene unfolded. When asked what had happened, she simply responded in a cold, almost detached manner, "They're with the devil. They're dead to me." When asked what happened, she calmly responded, "I killed them all." Her statement sent chills through the officers on the scene. No one could quite grasp the true meaning behind her words or what had led her to take such extreme actions. This wasn't an act of a mother losing control in a moment of rage. This was cold, deliberate violence. She called the authorities herself, confessing her horrific actions. Investigators were left with a chilling question. What could have possibly triggered a mother to do such an unspeakable thing to her own children? Oninda was arrested on the spot, and her bond was set at an astounding $14 million, with 2 counts of capital murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Investigators began searching her residence in Porter, Texas, but their investigation would take an unexpected turn.
Tonight, we're uncovering disturbing new details about a mother accused of shooting her 4 children, 2 of them. This is 31-year-old Oninda Romulus, seen here in a 2022 mugshot from Georgia when she was arrested on drug charges. We're also learning Child Protective Services had previously been called to her home, but details of that case remain unclear.
Troy Class has been following all of this since the weekend, and he spoke with the suspect's father earlier today. He's in Angleton for us tonight. Troy?
We've been working to learn more about Romulus, who is in jail, and any motive for the. Meanwhile, in newly obtained court documents, we're learning about what Romulus told investigators after she was arrested, but a motive for the is still unclear.
New details are beginning to emerge after 4 children were found in a car at an Angleton gas station. A 13-year-old boy and 3-year-old girl, an 8-year-old boy and 9-year-old girl still recovering.
Brazoria County deputies responded to an unthinkable, unimaginable tragedy.
The kid's mom, 31-year-old Oninda Romulus, is now in custody, charged with murder, and according to charging documents, gave disturbing statements to the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office investigators who spoke with her after the shooting. Court documents obtained by KHOU 11 share Romulus told investigators her children were with the devil. According to the affidavit, law enforcement says surveillance video shows Romulus drove to this gas station off Highway 288 in Angleton, where she called 911. When asked during her interview why she called authorities, Romulus told investigators, quote, "Instead of them doing it to me, I'm going to do it to them," and continued saying, "them all." Romulus lived at this home in Porter for just a few months with her 4 children, identified in court documents as Ocario Covington, Amora Chappelle, Kylie Romulus, and Treveal Downer. Neighbors telling our Orco Manna the children were happy and they saw them just a few days ago.
He always waves and we tell him hi, and they come back by, and I have a little Yorkie, and sometimes she'll stop and ask if she can pet the puppy. Just seeing them Friday, and they were happy and on their way, telling us hi and bye, and figuring I would see them again Monday.
The home is in the New Caney ISD. We reached out to the district asking if the kids attend school, and they replied stating while they're deeply saddened, out of respect for the investigation, the district wouldn't provide information about the individuals or their connection to our schools. Meanwhile, today, Romulus's dad told me on the phone from his home in Georgia he's trying to understand what happened.
Romulus is still being held on a $14 million bond. The surviving children are still recovering in the hospital. Troy Kless, KHOU 11 News.
Such a tragic case with so many questions. Troy Kless with what we do know tonight. Appreciate you. We'll be following this story closely. You can find the latest developments on air, online, and on the KHOU 11 mobile app.
As the shock of the crime reverberated, investigators quickly began to piece together what they could about Oninda Romulus's troubled past. The authorities were left grappling with a multitude of questions. What could have triggered this horrific act? What was behind Oninda's decision to take the lives of 2 of her own children? The investigation began with the basics, Oninda's criminal history. it became apparent that she was no stranger to law enforcement. She had a record that included DUIs, drug possession, and a few other incidents, but nothing on the scale of what had just unfolded. Most troubling of all, however, was the sudden, brutal violence that she had inflicted on her children. The investigation turned up evidence suggesting that Oninda had a long history of instability in her personal life, including toxic relationships, past pregnancies, and confrontational behavior, much of it aired publicly on her social media. But despite these clues, no one expected that this emotional turmoil would explode into such a horrific act.
Right now, a mom is held in jail with a $14 million bond, charged with murder after the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office says she shot her 4 children.
Yeah, such a tragedy. 2 did not survive. The other 2 are now recovering in a hospital. Our Ugochi Aloka joining us live now with what neighbors are saying. And Ugochi, where did this family live?
Alona and Jacob, jail records show that 31-year-old Oninda Romelos lived in a home in Porter that is about an hour away north of Angleton, where her kids were found in a car. Now, the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office says that they initially found out about the through a 911 call. Take a listen to when deputies were first dispatched to the scene.
We need multiple ambulances.
KHO11 got this exclusive video Saturday evening of investigators going in and out of Romelos' home. They were there for around 12 hours, appearing to collect evidence. They also towed away a car from the driveway. Neighbors tell us Romelos lived only at this house for about a few months. Many had not interacted with her at all. Residents are feeling uneasy after learning Romelos is accused of her 4 children and 2 of them. One neighbor who says they often saw Romelos' children calls this a terrible tragedy.
Seeing them Friday, and they were happy and on their way, telling us hi and bye, and figuring I would see them again Monday afternoon. Heartbreaking to think that anything could be so bad that you have to take your children's life. I don't understand.
Very devastating there. We're told that 2 other children recovering in the hospital have since been interviewed by deputies, and they say they are cooperating. Coming up in the next hour on KHO11 Plus at 7 a.m., hear more from that neighbor as well as where the investigation stands now. Reporting live this morning, Ugochi Iloka, KHOU 11 News.
Ugochi, thank you.
Oninda had even posted about being thankful for a bigger home for her and her children, speaking about a car large enough to fit them comfortably and the promise of a better future. But on the morning of October 4th, all of that changed in an instant. What truly startled them was what they found during their search. In her home, they discovered evidence of an identity theft operation, including 33 Social Security cards, 48 ID cards, and 16 credit cards, some in her name and others in different names, all being used for various fraudulent purposes. These criminal activities raised even more questions about her financial situation and what could have been driving her to live such a life of secrecy and deception. Adding to the complexity, investigators learned that Oninda had a 5th child who was not in the car that morning. The search expanded further as authorities scrambled to locate the child and assess whether they were at risk. During her interview with authorities, Oninda offered a chilling and baffling explanation for her actions. When asked why she called 911, Oninda reportedly replied, "Instead of them doing it to me, I'm going to do it to them." She further described her children as being with the devil and made it clear that she felt no remorse for what she had done. The details of her mental state and the specific motive behind her actions remain unclear, though investigators are looking into the possibility of a psychotic breakdown or mental health crisis. At the time of her arrest, Oninda was reportedly isolated in a jail cell, monitored 24/7. While the community grapples with the horror of what has transpired, many questions remain unanswered. Authorities are still working to uncover what led Oninda to this point, but one thing is certain: the lives of her children have been shattered in ways that no one could have predicted. The investigation into the murders of Oninda's children revealed a troubled history filled with conflicting relationships and unresolved emotional turmoil. Just days before the incident, Oninda had posted cryptic messages on social media that seemed to reflect her deteriorating mental state. These posts suggested that Oninda felt overwhelmed, as though the world around her was falling apart. Her family, who had recently moved to Texas, struggled to make sense of the tragedy. They spoke about her past relationships and how, despite the chaos in her life, she had always seemed to take care of her children. She took very good care of them, but in the aftermath of this horrific event, many began to wonder if the stresses of her personal life, coupled with her own mental health struggles, had finally pushed her over the edge. The authorities have yet to release all the details about the specific motive behind Oninda's actions, but they are investigating her troubled past, her relationships with men, and the possibility of a psychotic episode. The authorities have not ruled out the possibility that something snapped in her mind, causing her to turn on her children. If convicted, she could face the death penalty, but only if she is deemed competent to stand trial. Oninda's past, including her history of criminal behavior and her involvement in fraudulent activities, have raised questions about her mental stability and whether there were any warning signs leading up to this tragic event. But no one knew just how deep her struggles went. Her arrest has left many people in the community stunned as they try to understand what led a mother who seemed to care for her children to commit such an unspeakable act. As news of the horrific events in Angleton spread, it was not only the local community that was shaken, but people across the country too. The senseless violence, the murder of 2 innocent children, and the near-fatal injuries of 2 others, all at the hands of their own mother, left many speechless and grappling for answers. The Romulus family, who had only recently relocated to Texas in May, was left in disbelief. Oninda's father, who had spoken briefly with the media, expressed his shock and confusion over his daughter's actions. The family, despite living in a different state, had been a part of Oninda's life and had supported her as she tried to navigate her way through various struggles, but no one could understand what had driven her to take the lives of her own children. Local authorities, including the sheriff's office in Brazoria County, voiced their sorrow and disbelief, with Sheriff Doolittle acknowledging the weight of the tragedy. The sheriff's department assured the public that they would continue to work tirelessly to uncover the details and provide justice for the surviving children, who had now become the focal point of the community's support. The heartbreaking nature of the crime left many in the area questioning how something so unthinkable could happen. Investigators were left with no clear motive for why Oninda had chosen to take her children's lives. Despite her cryptic social media posts, the exact trigger for her violent actions remained elusive. One family member of Oninda's spoke out in an attempt to defend her, saying she had always taken care of her children and had never abused them. They suggested that something deeper, perhaps related to her emotional distress or her relationships, might have pushed her to this point. This defense, however, was met with disbelief by many others who had heard of the crime. The public was left divided, some still reeling from the shock of the events, while others struggled to make sense of the situation. As the investigation continued, the surviving children, Treville and Kyle, remained in the hospital, clinging to life. While their condition was eventually reported as stable, their futures were uncertain. The community rallied behind them, offering prayers, support, and financial assistance, especially as the 2 young survivors faced a life without their siblings and a mother who had so tragically taken their lives. Funeral arrangements for the 2 children who had died, 13-year-old Ocarlo Covington and 3-year-old Amara Chappelle, were made as the community came together to honor the innocent lives lost too soon. The children's funeral services were somber occasions, as family, friends, and the larger community mourned the loss of these young lives, taken so violently. Though Oninda was now behind bars facing serious charges, there remained an overwhelming sense of sadness and helplessness. Questions linger about what could have been done to prevent the tragedy. How could a mother, once so deeply invested in her children's lives, commit such a brutal act? With the details of Oninda's troubled past now public, many are left wondering how to prevent future tragedies like this one. It's clear that mental health issues, unaddressed emotional turmoil, and toxic relationships played a significant role in Oninda's downfall. Could more have been done to intervene before this nightmare occurred? How can we better support mothers who are struggling emotionally, mentally, or financially before they reach a breaking point?
What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.